Welcome to the Greater Carolinas Chapter Volunteer Orientation. My name is Paula Lipford and I'm the Director of Volunteer Engagement for the chapter. As a new volunteer for the Society, you bring vital skills, time, and resources to the movement. We want to take this opportunity to educate you about multiple sclerosis, the Society, and the local chapter, and we want to connect you to the volunteer opportunity that best suits your interests. Volunteers come to the chapter with many different connections to multiple sclerosis. Some are newly diagnosed or have family members or friends who've been recently diagnosed. Some have lived with MS for many years, but are only now interested in volunteering. And some come with little or no connection to MS at all. So we would like to start with a brief overview of multiple sclerosis. On this slide, we've highlighted some key statements about MS that will help provide all volunteers with a baseline of understanding of the disease. Multiple sclerosis is an unpredictable and often disabling disease of the central nervous system. The disease interrupts the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the body. Symptoms range from numbness and tingling to blindness and paralysis, and they differ from person to person. And the progress and severity and those specific symptoms in any one person can't be predicted. But with advances in research and treatment, we really are moving closer to a world free of MS. We've highlighted here a publication called Just the Facts. That publication covers much of the information about the Society and MS and a little bit more in depth than we're covering it in this presentation. It's available for download from the nationalmssociety.org website, or you can request that we provide you with a hard copy. It's one of our most helpful publications, and so I would urge you to consider downloading it and reviewing it. While most people with MS are diagnosed between the ages of 20 and 50, there are children as young as 5 and 6 and people in their 70s who've been diagnosed with the disease. MS does affect more than 2.3 million people worldwide, and it is diagnosed 2 to 3 times more often in women than in men. The disease is currently thought to be triggered in a genetically susceptible individual by a combination of one or more environmental factors. And interestingly enough, it is the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. The What is MS brochure highlighted here also has a wealth of information that is available to you from download, or you can request a copy from the chapter. There's a link to a video here that's posted on the national website. It contains a lot more in-depth information about multiple sclerosis and is fairly technical, but it's something that you might be interested in digging deeper by viewing. Now we would like to provide you with an overview of the Society as an organization, its mission, and how it strives to keep people living with MS at the center of all we do. Sylvia Lowry was a young woman studying to be a lawyer when her younger brother Bernard began experiencing visual and balance problems. Those symptoms proved to be early symptoms of MS. And for several years after his diagnosis, Sylvia and her family pursued many cures without success. Ultimately, frustrated by that inability to find solutions, Sylvia Lowry decided to place an ad in the New York Times. It read, "Multiple sclerosis. Will anyone recover from it? Please communicate with the patient." When the more than 50 replies she received were from individuals as desperate as she was to find news about MS, Sylvia realized the need for an organized effort to stimulate and finance research into a cure. The result was that on March 11, 1946, Ms. Lowry, a lone young woman, gathered 20 of the nation's most prominent research scientists and founded what would become the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. From these beginnings, Ms. Lowry devoted the rest of her life to the pursuit of a world free of MS. It was the hard work of one young woman that has resulted now in an organization that has a 50-state network of chapters expending nearly $126 million a year to serve over 1 million people, and which devotes more than $46 million each year to support over 440 research projects internationally. The National MS Society's mission and vision help set the direction for all we do, including how we direct the donations that people make to the organization. We want to keep people living with MS as the focus of all we do. So our vision is a world free of MS, and our mission is to mobilize people and resources to drive research for a cure and to address the challenges of everyone affected by MS. On this slide, there is a photo of participants and volunteers who are part of the 2014 Challenge Walk in Charleston. This regional event is one of the most inspirational events we hold. It is a 3-day, 50-mile walk. I urge you to consider participating. It is a regional event that will be held in Savannah next year. It's also important to note that the National MS Society is volunteer-led from the top down. Our board of directors is an elected group of volunteers with legal and fiduciary responsibility. They oversee our goals, our business operations, and our focus in implementing the strategic response to MS. The senior leadership team, composed of department executive vice presidents, our regional executive vice presidents, and our executive leadership team, which includes our CEO, are all overseen by our board of directors. The National MS Society has established a set of core values, and the Society strives to live by this set of core values, which guides our work and our actions on a daily basis. Those core values are commitment. We are passionate in our commitment to people affected by MS. We strive to improve quality of life while searching for the cure. Leadership. We are leaders in the vision of a world free of MS. Through creativity and hard work, we accelerate the pace of scientific discovery, promote quality health care, stimulate community resources and services, advocate for favorable government policies, and are the world's best source of information about multiple sclerosis. Integrity. We are honest and straightforward in all that we do. We treat everyone with dignity and respect. We act responsibly with resources entrusted to us. We are accountable and act in accordance with these values. Excellence. We set high standards of performance and service delivery and work toward excellence in everything we do. Teamwork. We advance the interests of people affected by MS through individual and team achievements. We recognize our volunteers and staff as our most valued resources, and we encourage collaboration across organizational boundaries. It is a challenge for any organization to become more diverse. We have a commitment, starting with our National Board of Directors, to welcome all people affected by MS. And as a part of our strategic response to MS, we've developed a diversity statement to affirm our commitment. We value differences. We have diverse perspectives and understand that they will help us achieve our mission. We attract and we retain a diverse group of talented individuals, and we aim to understand that people everywhere need to move their lives forward. In 2010, the National MS Society established a strategic roadmap called the Strategic Response. And rather than just being a traditional strategic plan, it strives to be a response to the facts of living with MS and tries to identify what must be done globally to achieve a world free of MS. Each of these 5 strategic goals that we have established are supported by objectives and expected outcomes that impact the lives of everyone affected by MS. The Society's strategic response to MS determines how funds are expended and how the Home Office and the chapters focus their efforts each year. The 5 strategic goals are outlined on this slide, and there is a document available to you called A World Free of MS that may be downloaded from the national website. The organization is in the process of updating our strategic goals for the next 3 years, beginning in 2016. And so when those new goals are announced, that information will be provided to volunteers. This chart reflects the way donations are spent at the national level. And for our chapter, the Greater Carolinas chapter, the percentages are very nearly the same. Around 57% of donations go to providing programs and services for people living with MS. 22% is allocated to research, 18% to administration and fundraising, and 3% for reserve for future years. So what does the Society do? Through its 50-state network of chapters, the Society identifies solutions so that people affected by MS live their best lives. Advocacy is an important part of reaching our mission. We work to help people learn to advocate for themselves and others at the local, state, and federal level. There are many ways people can be involved in advocacy. They are on the front line, moving and speaking with one clear voice to advance policies that benefit people with MS and their families. So as a volunteer, you can be an MS activist. You can share your story. You can join the MS Activist Network. You can build relationships with legislators and educate yourself on important issues. The Society also provides resources and support for people living with MS, their family members, caregivers, and others in their support system. Our website, nationalmssociety.org, has a wealth of resources and publications available for download. Also, for more information about MS, referrals to physicians, questions, and connections to community resources, you can contact an MS Navigator at 1-800-344-4867. You can connect with others also at the msconnection.org website. There you can learn about peer support opportunities and support groups. You can join in an online discussion, read and comment on blog postings, and share your story. And of course, you can always contact the local Greater Carolinas chapter for more information. Other support for people living with MS includes programs and resources to support families and relationships. The Greater Carolinas chapter provides family and social recreational programs like our zoo program or an outing to a baseball game, a kids camp for children ages 10 to 14 who have a parent with MS. We've hosted such things as couples retreats and women's conferences. We have many opportunities to support families. Financial assistance is also available for people with MS who meet certain financial guidelines. This support can assist during times of crisis and the purchase of medical equipment. We also provide funds to assist with home and vehicle modifications. Information about employment, insurance, and financial planning is available. And we also have information about health and wellness. And the chapter supports newly diagnosed individuals with a small scholarship to help them pay for a health club membership, personal training, or an exercise class. Social and emotional support can be found through our support groups, MS Friends Helpline, and telephone support groups, in addition to the support found at msconnection.org. There's also a wealth of information on mobility and accessibility available through an MS Navigator or through our website. And we host numerous education conferences and programs throughout the chapter annually. So in order to fund cutting-edge research and programs and services for people affected by MS, the Society fundraises primarily through major mass market events. Those events include walk events, bike events, challenge walk, Muckfest, which is a 5K run through muddy obstacles. You'll receive more information about mass market events and fundraising opportunities in the Greater Carolinas chapter later in the presentation. But you also might choose to hold your own do-it-yourself fundraiser, maybe a golf tournament or a silent auction, or you could come up with something that's unique to your own community. We provide resources and support to help you organize a fundraiser. As noted on this slide, from fundraising events to influencing policy to giving personally, everyone can make a difference. I urge you to explore the many opportunities to volunteer and fundraise at the Greater Carolinas chapter by talking with your community development coordinator. MS research is the Society's highest priority, and we're increasing our annual investments yearly to drive solutions for every single person with MS. The Society has funded over $820 million in research since its founding in 1946. And with those investments, we've helped pave the way for all of the existing 13 therapies that have been approved by the FDA, none of which existed 20 years ago. The Society recognizes that the complexity of MS necessitates a comprehensive approach that will uncover solutions for everyone. And so now we're driving research to stop MS in its tracks, restore what's been lost, and end the disease forever. You can download Now Research brochure at the National MS Society website, and you can become a Now Research champion. The Society mobilizes people who are passionate about our mission. Volunteers like Sarah, who's pictured here and is a member of our Greater Carolinas chapter, become motivated to become involved and do something about MS now. We're going to learn a little bit more about how volunteers like Sarah and you can be involved later in the presentation. But now I want to share with you an overview on the local chapter level, the Greater Carolinas chapter. The chapter has offices in Charlotte, Greensboro, and Raleigh. And the chapter area covers 97 counties in North Carolina and all of South Carolina. And we serve over 17,400 people living with MS in that chapter area. We have staff members who manage programs and services, fundraising, operations, and data management. And we have volunteer engagement staff members in all 3 offices. We also have staff members whose primary responsibility is covering South Carolina. As a new volunteer with the chapter, you'll be working closely with our volunteer engagement staff. I'm the Director of Volunteer Engagement, and my office is in Raleigh. Diane Hartley is our Community Development Coordinator for the Triangle and Eastern North Carolina area, and her office is also in Raleigh. Devisha Baldwin is our coordinator for the Triad and Western North Carolina, and her office is in Greensboro. And Rebecca Fredericks, our coordinator in the Charlotte area and South Carolina, has an office in Charlotte. You can contact us at 1-800-FIGHT-MS and choose volunteers, or you can email any one of us at nctvolunteers@nmss.org. As I mentioned previously, mass market events are our primary means of fundraising. The chapter has 18 walk events annually across North and South Carolina. The Triangle Walk is the largest in the entire Southeast region. Our walk events raise over $1.2 million annually. Our Bike MS events, the 3 of them, raise over $3.5 million annually. And again, we have the largest ride in the Southeast region, our historic New Bern ride. Challenge Walk is a 3-day 50-mile walk, and it's a regional event that raises over $700,000 annually. It will be held in Savannah starting in 2015. As we've already mentioned, we do provide as a chapter many programs and services for people living with MS and their families. You will receive a listing of those programs and services. But an additional one I wanted to point out is that we do provide scholarships for first-time college students who either live with MS or have a parent living with MS. And as a volunteer, you will have some opportunities to help raise awareness about that fundraising event annually. Advocacy efforts in the chapter are led by a regional team. Abby Emanuelson is the Senior Director of Southeast Advocacy, along with 2 advocacy managers, and we also have a chapter staff member who's dedicated to working on advocacy in South Carolina. You'll also be provided a brochure on volunteer opportunities in advocacy, which include MS Action Alert membership, Grasstops MS activists, MS opinion leaders, government relations committee members, and district activist leaders. Now that you've become familiar with the Society, its mission and vision, and its commitment to people living with MS, we want you to hear how other volunteers like you have become involved and how they power the MS movement.
There is no cure for MS, so I've joined with thousands of others to do something about MS now.
It's important to me to volunteer because that's the best gift I can give back.
The Society was started by the simple act of one woman seeking to help her brother.
My journey with MS reminds me much of what Sylvia Lowry did, the founder of Multiple Sclerosis Society. She just started Multiple Sclerosis Society with one ad in a newspaper.
I am an activist. I'm participating in a lot of things. I'm informing legislators. I advocate for government funding of MS research.
Volunteering at bike events is always really fun because it allows you to meet hundreds and thousands of cyclists all working toward the same goal.
I've been a part of the walk every year. I've been on the task force for the walk, which has been fantastic. Forming our walk team is phenomenal. I have friends from all over that come and are a part of our walk team, and to see that outpouring of love towards me is amazing. Beyond that, we're raising awareness and raising money. I started a support group in my county so that there's somewhere people can go for a positive place to talk about what's going on in their life.
Volunteering makes me feel very, very productive, happy, and I am giving back to the society and to research.
Volunteering has helped me personally more than I can describe in words. Not only has it helped me become a better person, but just to know that I have other people to relate to that also have MS.
And whether I'm doing activism, whether I'm doing volunteering or running my group or doing a lot of other things, all those things together kind of make me feel better, make me feel like I'm contributing to society.
One of the things that motivates me to continue to volunteer and give more to the Multiple Sclerosis Society is that I get to have a meaningful impact. What I do makes a difference. Who I touch, who I call, who I invite makes a difference. Volunteering for the Society is also an amazing opportunity for me. It's incredible that I get to bring my professional skill set to the Multiple Sclerosis Society and be able to utilize that to help others.
I try to get out there as many ways as possible, meet as many people, and share my story so people know that they've got somebody they can talk to. And I found volunteering is the best way for me to do that. You can volunteer at an event or provide support for people living with MS and their families in your community.
You can manage projects, lead committees, ultimately become a leader in the worldwide MS movement.
Now we want to give you an opportunity to learn more about how you can connect as a volunteer. We have many ways that you can be involved, from raising awareness to leading an event, creating your own do-it-yourself fundraising, to helping people with service projects or stuffing envelopes. You can work to raise awareness about MS in the society and your community as a movement ambassador. You can become involved in advocacy or help connect others as an MS Connections volunteer. You can share your professional expertise, use your talents, give your time, and learn a new skill. Once you've completed this orientation, please contact a volunteer engagement staff member via email or phone. We will schedule a time to follow up with you and we'll work with you to connect you to an opportunity. If you've not already done so, please complete a volunteer registration form online at www.nationalmssociety.org/nct/volunteer. And you can email us at nctvolunteers@nmss.org or call us at 1-800-FIGHT-MS and choose volunteers. We're very excited to help you find a way to grow in your involvement as you learn more about the Society.